the planet got larger from the original Pangea, and there are theories about how um, the planet can grow in size, whether it's from meteors hitting the planet or cosmic dust adding up over long periods of time, bacteria, whatever, because we are finding out that there is stuff in space, even though it seems to be a void. It's not a complete void. There's a lot of evidence showing there is stuff in space that could come to Earth and add to its size. Not only that, but uh, I believe personally that the center of the Earth, as the Admiral Byrd referenced in his diary and his experience going to the North and South Pole, I believe the center of the Earth came from the core expanding out.
All right, my brother. How's your day going, Mark?
Good.
Oh, snap. Hold on. That's right. That's right. Salute to everybody in the chat, man. Hit that like button on your way in, no matter what platform you are at. I honestly forgot. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it this way. Hold on, man. I want to send this person the link. I forgot. That is my fault all the way up out of pocket. Where are you? So, could you want to give us a little rundown on this video, what we about to look at, please, if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. The video is called "The Fall of Atlantis and the Rise of Religion." Under my context, I am presenting the theory that Atlantis was more scientific. Of course, I don't completely saying it's not spiritual at all, but I'm saying like they were more like technology, and obviously the fall was from their own demise or destruction or whatever it was. And then there was this rise of religious context for whether it was the Sumerians or the others out there.
Okay, that is awesome. So how did you come about this type of content? What made you want to do it? Oh wait, so to make you aware, I actually sent the link to Sasquatch, because remember when we talked about this live, he said that he has a whole theory on Atlantis that's
Right.
totally different and he's never said it. So I was like, well, you can definitely use this platform to break that type of content. So I forgot to send it to him before the live, but I
Oh,
actually just sent it to him, and I don't know if he's going to be able to pull up. I'm not sure. If he does, it's going to be awesome.
yeah.
But so now, question: where did you come across this content, or were you just like obsessed with? Not give me a better word than
No,
this.
you're good. I understand what you're saying.
Like, did you really like the whole idea of Atlantis, or that time frame, the history of it, what's unknown about? Like, what was it that procured your or sparked your mind to do this?
2015, 16, somewhere around there, I stumbled across YouTube videos of Thoth and the Emerald Tablets from Leak Project. It's a related channel. It's also a friend that lives in the next town over. But I just got into that, and for some reason, it just inspired me and clicked in me, and then I just ran into full head blown, dove in, and it carried from there into how the Tablets talk about Atlantis. So I went to other books and experts so that talk about the topics, and I just tried to make sense of it in my own mind. Really, and that's all it was. And then I presented the video from what I had gathered at the time.
So you're going off the info that you were able to locate on the internet, correct?
Oh, and books.
And but I'm sorry, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the chat. Salute Setworks, definitely salute Sasquatch. That's a whole fact, man. Hit that like button on your way in. If you're not subscribed, subscribe to the channel. That is the name of his channel, Thoth Mark, spelled just like that. And I'm
when
gonna
you
pull it up. I'm sorry,
when,
my brother.
when you say the internet, I don't want people thinking, "Oh, I got it from the internet." Don't believe
No,
anything.
no, no. That's what I was saying. Some of your info, because like all the info I got on Atlantis, everything I've ever seen, other than Stargate, I want to make this clear. I've got it on the internet. I've got it from other people that have produced videos like yours.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It was from other experts who are like
yeah,
field. It wasn't from like random weird posts or websites.
yeah. No, you're
No,
right.
it was from actual interviews of people who got into the stuff, like Joe
correct.
Rogan episodes and stuff.
Exactly, like and all that on the internet.
Yeah, but people get the wrong idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, you are 100% correct. Thank you for pointing that. I had to clean that up. That's what I'm saying. So it's not that either one of us said it wrong. You are correct. It's the optics.
Yeah,
I totally agree with you on that, because a lot of people be like, "Oh, where'd you get it from?" "Oh, I watched this dude on Joe Rogan. He was a professional. He knew everything about it." Now they accept it, not like realizing that you're on the internet watching Joe Rogan. Like, so I totally agree with that, my guy. So
like,
now
I also have the Billy Carson book on the Emerald Tablets signed by him.
Wait, I was gonna ask that. So did you actually do what he says people to do, to go on that website and that you can actually read the Emerald Tablets and have them translated and all that on your screen? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, well, he does it on his book, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. There's also the original from the college, that did the transcribing or research about it. There's all that. And also you can find people have made videos where it just reads the whole tablets without any interference for you. Like, it's about 3 hours long.
Yeah, because that's something like what Billy was saying, that you could go to the website, you can choose the tablet, put it in translator, and the AI will translate it for you if you can't read it or whatever.
Yeah, the same with the Sumerian tablets. They also have the same similar stuff going
on. Wait. Hold on. You into the to Sumer and all that too?
Well, yeah, it's all part of it.
And you just messed up, my brother. Now we're gonna have to go do another one just like this. Oh yeah, now you get that. You see how you just plugged that? That's a setup, bro. Yeah. Now we just set ourselves up to have to do another one.
Right. We got to follow up.
Exactly, because I love this type of content. Okay. A lot of people don't get it, but I love this type of content.
Yeah, I got deep into that too. There's a lot of information about them.
Yeah, that's a whole fact.
So and I actually present some of it here on the video too.
Are you serious? Mm-hmm. Oh, Caucasian, Sasquatch, I definitely sent that email to you, so you could definitely click the link and you want, because I know you said that you had a whole different theory, a whole different perception on Atlantis. So we would definitely love to hear you chime in on the topic. So I already emailed you to StreamYard.
Yeah, and I won't say anything since you mentioned it. So it's on you, Squash, to get in here and tell us.
Oh, yeah. For real. Get in here and tell it, Squash. So I'm going to do a different camera view.
Okay.
No. So hold on, because people can still hear us. So this is right here. This is the intro to your video, correct?
Yeah. Now, when I did this intro, I have an editing software that used to pay a little extra for, and they give you these kinds of videos to use however you want. So it's not something I do anymore because I just make my own now.
Yeah, and you answered the question right before I asked it. That's what I was about to ask. That's awesome sauce. Yeah. So let's hit play on this and let's see what this looks like.
All right.
Great present. So for those of you who are watching right now, this is the name of his channel, right? The Thoth Mark. Go subscribe to his channel. Check out the presentation on this, man. Look at the quality of what we're looking at. All these things is what you need to be taking into account when you're looking at somebody's channel. And if you're debating on subscribing, these are things that should make you want to subscribe. Right. The investment that he put into this video. You want to chime in real quick?
And the time, it takes a lot of time to make some of this stuff. Yeah, and the research, nobody's paying you to research things, you know what I mean?
Yeah, people don't get that. Like electricity costs money. Yeah. The devices you're using cost money and all that. You are correct, my brother. Mm-hmm. That's a nice intro, man.
Hello there. This is Thoth Mark's presentation about the fall of the Atlantis and the rise of religion. Now, I'll give you a moment to read that. If you want to pause it. You want to pause it? Pause the video if you read. All right, so yeah, this is just like a disclaimer, like telling people, we're not trying to hurt anybody's feelings or tell everybody they're wrong. That's all. Read it. But I am not advocating any negative social context on any religions or beliefs. I actually personally believe that we are all born innocent and that we were born to love and want to experience life to the fullest.
Another morning to savor the crunchy nooks and cranny splendor of a Thomas's English muffin.
Tom,
Oh
which
my
is
gosh.
a nook and which is a cranny?
That's a nook, cranny, 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 nook, cranny.
No. All right, so
Sorry about that. I was actually typing something.
it's
I like how you got that map right there looking like that. I
right.
like the whole presentation.
All right, before you go any further, that
Okay.
map, that is a legitimate Navy futuristic map that they use.
That they use that in like right now type shit, right?
Like if you go on the line right now and you type in Navy Edgar Casey map, and every time that's what pulls up.
Edward Casey map.
No, you have to put Navy first.
I'm sorry, I said that word. Yeah, Navy. Okay. That's awesome. Anything else you want to chime in before we play? The future shows the path from the past. Where was Atlantis can be understood from Edgar Casey and the rise of Atlantis out of the ocean.
So the reason I say that is because have you seen the presentations about the Byzantine road in the Gulf of Mexico, like down in the ocean?
No, I have not.
They found artifacts, massive, huge, like old ancient stuff down in the ocean in the Gulf of Mexico.
That's all. So hold up. See, now we're about to talk about something else. Edgar Casey.
Yeah, that's the man who did that.
So now it's almost like in retrospect, we're speaking about. All right, have you heard of that road that was underwater that through satellite they're able to see it, that's connecting the continents past South America?
That's what I was talking about, the Byzantine road. Yeah.
My bad. You know the actual name of it. I'm sorry, I don't. Yeah,
I could be wrong. I could be saying it wrong though. Let me make sure.
You know what I mean? I didn't know. I didn't even know that there was a name to it. I just know about it. You know what I'm saying? And when I tell people about this, they tell me I'm crazy. And then I'm like, well, look it up. And then when we look it up and they see it, they don't spin the block. They don't come back around and say, damn, no, you were right. They don't do none of that. They just stop talking to you because they were wrong.
The reason I say that is because it shows very similar
Sleeping prophet. I'm listening.
They show the very similar type of road that you were talking about in the ocean is the same kind. It's very similar to the Byzantine road from the Eastern Thrace. That's why I say that.
Okay. The Bimini Road.
There we go.
Sasquatch is on it, man.
Yeah.
This
See,
is
he
what
knew
I'm
what I was talking
about, bro.
There it is. Yeah. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But as you can see, I got the banner on the screen. This is the name of his channel, Thoth Mark. That's the name of his channel. So that's gonna stay on screen. You know what I mean? So we're gonna put it like this.
Before you go any further, let me show you this real quick so we can add to what he was saying.
Yeah,
so that way,
whatever you want, however you want to present it.
There you
go. Okay. So we got here, my brother.
So this is the Bimini map road that under the ocean.
So yeah, the layers of you can see the layers of bricks and everything.
Mm-hmm. Even the Bermuda Triangle pyramids, but I don't know if that's what that is. But yeah, it looks like the Byzantine road that they built back then too, with the stones like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I said that.
yeah, that's a whole fact. Because what people don't know is that in a minute, in a very quick moment, we are going to be so financially wealthy that we are going to go to this place. This is a plan. He's hearing about this for the first time right now. He's
Yeah.
like, what the hell is he talking about? Yeah, we're gonna be financially so ahead that some of these contexts that we're doing on these topics, we're actually gonna go there with like a camera, like this Bimini Road. I want to go there underwater, and actually, when we're doing a live on it, we'll
Yeah.
actually have our own footage of the location. So when somebody says, "Oh, Mark, you don't know what you're talking about," oh, really? Well, look, here's Mark at that location underwater. Him, what do you? He actually walked the road because we made him carry this stone so he can walk it underwater.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, that's how that
With the
works.
oxygen tank and everything, that'd be fun.
You know what I'm saying? This is what I say when I say natural. Because 5 minutes ago, I wasn't even thinking that thought or what I said before that. This is all coming right now in real time. That's how that works. What we got here? Charles C. Atlantis is a myth, an island civilization that has captured the imagination of ancients. It was first mentioned in the Greek philosopher Plato. So that's wrong. That's wrong. Plato actually, they went there. That's why he mentioned it. So that's wrong. Plato went there. That's
Yeah,
how
he claims he went there. Yeah.
Yeah, like Plato actually Plato got these stories from like ancient Kemet time, actually. You know what I mean? But that's he actually got them stories from ancient Kemet and went back to Greece with those stories. But he retrieved them stories from another location, just like they say Jesus went to another location and then he returned at 33.
After this presentation of the video, I'll get into more of what I think happened and why.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. This is about what you think happened.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind what I think that happened. We could get into that another time. But right now, this presentation is about what you think happened. So let's get back into this. What am I doing wrong? Okay. Let me bring this screen back up. Let's see. Yep, we got this. Put it here like this. All right.
So let's just start with the big Earth picture, the whole picture of Earth. According to a lot of research about pole shifts, education, Navy maps of the future, things are about to change, and Atlantis potentially is going to rise out of the ocean. And there's a lot of evidence showing that Atlantis may be down in the ocean from different parts of the world. So that leads me to how the world was potentially back in the time of Atlantis or Lemuria. I tend to believe that Lemuria was, more rivers, less ocean, or no oceans. I don't know for sure, but that's what I tend to believe. A lot of, luscious rainforests.
So you see how you just said that you don't have the proof, but that's what you tend to believe. What makes you believe what you just said?
Logical cognitive function, trying to put a puzzle together with the information you have. That's essentially what I did.
Okay. Yeah, okay, because I've never heard too many people present that like in that fashion. That's why I asked, like, what made you say that right then and there? That was the reason for it.
It's like reaching for straw or grasping for straws or whatever, but you're using it's like a hypothesis. You're using the information to make your guess. You're not just pulling it from the air. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got what you're saying, but sometimes it's more to present it because maybe there's somebody that wants to do a video like this, and the topic might be different. It might not be Atlantis, but maybe the way you came about how you presented this could help them present maybe what they want to present. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like maybe they're stuck on a video like, damn, I don't have the 100% facts, and I don't want to say this. Well, maybe at this point in that conversation, you could allude to something that's more high probability.
Well, it's also about presenting how this is what you believe. Like in the beginning, like I told you, I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. I'm just presenting what I've cognitively tried to hypothesize in some way.
Yeah.
And so that's the best way to do it, is to go about saying, you know what, maybe my ideas and things will change in the future, but this is what I got now. And maybe I'll make more videos later that'll, correct some of the things I said.
Yeah, but that's how that works sometimes. Sometimes you're going to receive more information later that can clarify what you thought before.
Exactly.
And you can always double back.
Yeah, and nobody should judge you if you present it the right way.
All right. So you know what I feel? I feel like people should judge you if you don't present it and you have some type of info on it.
Yeah.
Because you don't never know what's going to happen in 40, 50 years from now. This isn't like when we were young. I'm 44. This isn't like when we were young. When we go into history, we got to open a book or we got to do something like that. And 50 years from now, people are going to be able to look back on these videos. And they're going to say, well, look, boom, we got visual. This is what he actually thought on the topic, because this is what he said. We're not reading a book and assuming and putting our own paradigm on what that person was saying. Because that's what a lot of this stuff is. Somebody might, but this could be metaphorically speaking. Now you're pushing your own paradigm on it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, because I've never seen the planet with so much land on that before. Like the way you got that image right there.
Yeah.
I've never seen it like that.
It's to help image. Like images help people understand things very well.
Yeah, it helps connect that gap in between. You are correct. We appreciate that consuming this video. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand.
Bountiful, beautiful planet. Okay. And they call it a freaking it slipped my mind. The pretty much how the Earth was before the oceans. Okay. Pangea, that's right. So through time, whether it's because of how the cosmos works, meteors or whatever you want to believe scientifically, with planet changing or adapting or evolving through thousands, millions, whatever. There was obviously some evidence showing that there was a change on the planet, right? I tend to believe that the oceans came from technology or dimensional forces that manipulated.
Hold on, I want to bring that back because I think I heard you incorrectly. I want to ask a question, but I want to make sure I heard you correctly.
I tend to believe that the oceans came from.
So right there, you mean like the actual waters when you say I believe the oceans came from?
Well, not that there wasn't no water, but that there was a massive increase of water.
So, okay, that's why I'm asking these questions in this proper format. I'm saying that's why I did this. So now you're saying that there was water, but now you're thinking that there's extra water that came in. This is why a lot of these land masses are covered up.
Yeah, because my theory is that, remember in the Old Testament talks about the heavens opened and the floodgates came and the poured 40 days. 40. Yeah. So that doesn't actually happen. Like we don't have 40 days of rain. You know what I mean? Like how could something like that happen? You see what I'm saying? So maybe there was some like dimensional rifts and they just like opened water, just massive tons of water just poured all over the planet for 40 days.
Okay, because anything is possible because back then isn't now.
Right.
You know what I mean? Anything could be possible. That's why I say certain topics that you got to leave that judgmental shit at the door. Because we're talking about topics that we all have close, like emotional ties to, mental ties to, but we can't really prove it. So all we could do is go by the facts that we think are facts and then connect the dots the best way possible. So now certain people say that the only difference between water, air, ice, and I forget which ones. There's one more. It's 4 of them. Damn it.
Fire.
I don't think I smoked enough bud yet. I'm sober. Right? So I think it's 4, but I can't remember but they say the only thing that's different between these elements is the frequency that it's at. Because water is a solid if you freeze it. You know
plus the science from that Japanese doctor who found that if you put thoughts in it, if you put thoughts into water, it'll change the shape of the water and all.
Yes. It's almost like a watered version of a cymatic frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you put the sand on it, and you push the sound, it'll separate it and create a shape. Just like it does that with, I think it does that with like if you freeze something, I've seen that as well. That it'll manipulate the shape of some shit in the ice. I've seen that, but there's not just like it's a little bit more than just speaking to the cup of water, because I've seen that, and I've seen somebody do it with a plant too, where they speak. It's three. You speak positive, negative, and one you say nothing to. I've seen it with a plant and a cup, and they showed that the cup was the one you said nothing to, and the positive one, the water started turning nasty immediately, even the container. And then the plants that you said nothing and negative to, they started dying like immediately. And the plant that you spoke positive to, it grew and it bloomed a lot longer than. So yes, you are correct.
And then there's the whole talk about type 1 civilization, type 0, type 2, type 3. You know what that is?
Say that again.
In the science, the current philosophy and science about how there's different types of civilizations of species, and how a type 0 species can't do anything with their planet. They're survival, basic, primitive species. Type 1 is where you can start manipulating the planet, like the weather and stuff.
Yeah.
And type 2 is when you start manipulating your solar system.
You talking about like putting that shit around the sun?
And then type 3 is where you start manipulating galaxies.
So, but wait, are you talking about that shit that goes around the sun?
You know I'm talking about the hypothesis of different evolved civilizations.
Evolution. Yeah. But they say that after a certain stage, that during certain technology, that the people, they put something around the sun to extract the energy.
Oh, the Dyson sphere.
There you go. That.
Mm-hmm.
So what would that fall under? Like the second level? Or
that would be that would level 2, because that's solar system.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like that's one of the first things they do is a Dyson sphere. Yes. That's what I'm talking. See, this is the type of content I would much rather be having instead of that other. Oh my! I mean, and I don't mean nothing against politics. I love the politics. We always gonna be talking about the politics. We not talk about that. We talk about that other bull jive.
Yeah.
Don't you want to chime in before we hit play, my brother?
No, go.
I like this, man.
Technology or dimensional forces that manipulated climate and the planet.
So I got a question. Do you think this looks like a turtle right here?
A little bit, maybe, but not. I mean, it doesn't have the tail. It's not a definitive tail. It's not very definitive on the show, but yeah,
it's almost close enough, right?
Yeah, I can see it.
Almost like a Turtle Island type of. My bad. That's a topic for another day.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
about. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Right. You could. A lot of people reference what the Fall of Atlantis came from, just their obsession with power, science, technology, whatever. It could be a mixture of all of the above, right? So the planet got larger from the original Pangea, and there are theories about how the planet can grow in size, whether it's from meteors hitting the planet or cosmic dust adding up over long periods of time, bacteria, whatever, because we are finding out that there is stuff in space, even though it seems to be a void. It's not a complete void. There's a lot of evidence showing there is stuff in space that could come to Earth and add to its size. Not only that, but
what do you mean by come to Earth and add to its size? I've never heard nobody say that in my life.
All right, so if you believe meteorites, well, if you go back to the videos of scientists and how the planet was formed, they talk about how meteorites collided with the planet and grew. And
the Big Bang Theory?
No, like the way the Earth was made. There's science that talk about the Earth was made from like just all bombardment of asteroids hitting it and meteorites over thousands and millions of years, right?
Okay.
So that even they admit this theory is like a potential possibility. It's not like, oh, the planet just manifested as is out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? It built somehow. It became a planet somehow, right?
You know, some people have another theory that I don't want to say the name because maybe I got the name wrong, but they said that there used to be a planet out there called Tiamat, maybe.
Yeah,
And
I
they
know
said
about
that
that.
these planets collided, and the residue that's left over is what it's called. And again, I don't like using names because I might be wrong, but I think it's called the Kuiper Belt, maybe. That shit that goes around
There's actually 2 asteroid belts.
asteroid belts, and they say that that's where that asteroid belt is the residue left over of the collision from Tiamat, and that's what we. And I'm not saying that that's true. I'm just throwing information out there. So
No, you're good. From what my connections, like Laura Eisenhower presents, she talks about Tiamat a lot. She says that there was a war, like the war in heaven in the Old Testament and stuff like that, and that they blew up a planet, and that's why Mars is the way it is, and that's why they have pyramids and weird things on them.
Oh my god, yo, people don't know that me and you did not rehearse none of this shit.
No.
You get what I'm saying? But you see the way it's coming together. We did not rehearse none of this shit because I like it to be authentic and natural.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because I could have a whole bunch of questions lined up, but that wouldn't be conducive to the way the everything is being presented. You know what I mean? I like to make it go along. And of course I'm not really gonna get pushback, but what I will do is have you explain everything to a best of detail of why, and maybe we could ruffle a couple feathers and it'll make us do a part 2.
Nice. All right.
You know what I mean? That's the point of it. Maybe we could ruffle some feathers.
All right.
I mean, let's see what happens. You know?
For sure.
Maybe this video will get 3,000 views. 3 million views. Who knows?
Who knows?
I believe personally that the center of the Earth, as Admiral Byrd referenced in his diary and his experience going to the North and South Pole, I believe the center of the Earth came from the core expanding out, opening up the interior of the planet, burning off and reforming the Earth's crust, or like the not the crust, the inner layers of the planet.
My bad. I don't have the paid version. Plus,
That's okay.
we want you to get that commercial burn though. This is your channel. You are monetized. That's what you're looking at. A monetized channel.
Right on. I was gonna say, you can pause that real quick. Got it. All right. I've kind of adapted that idea maybe a little bit from the Earth's crust doing that to maybe there's a Dyson sphere within the Earth.
Hold up. So you think there's a Dyson sphere on the inside, like on inner Earth, like on the inside of the what we can't see?
Yeah, I've adapted that to where maybe because there's old references from ancient civilizations saying there may have been 2 stars in our solar system at one time.
2 suns.
Well, one big one like the one we see now, and one tiny little dwarf white one.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't even correlate that a star is a sun. A lot of people think that they're 2 different things. They got 2 different words, but it's the same thing. A star is a sun. So now this gonna sound crazy to some. I don't believe in 2 suns, my guy. You know what I believe? Remember I told you it's gonna sound crazy.
Okay.
I believe that there's 3 suns.
Or was, you mean?
Or maybe was with. We're going too far.
Okay.
I believe there is 3 suns.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Or it could have been was at whatever point, because, and this is going to sound crazy as well, I don't believe in time. I believe a time is figment of your imagination. Man created a watch.
Well, it's not a figment of imagination. It's a measurement of your position in accordance to the other bodies you're around.
Correct. That doesn't prove time. That just shows location.
That's like saying you can't prove a measurement.
I don't know. I got that.
Yeah.
I got all that. What I'm saying is you can't give me something that's gonna tell me I'm 90 years old. That I'm fighting that, bro. That's what I'm fighting
Right,
that, bro.
but you're saying that's like saying this is not 2 inches.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Measurement of space is the. I'm talking about actual time.
No,
Like
yeah, time is a measurement. That's what I'm telling you. Time
I
is a
know.
measurement. So from this point, which is where you were born,
Yeah.
to now is another point.
Yeah.
So we're measuring that between those 2 points.
Yeah,
We call that time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't like that. I don't like what the word time means and how this being. I feel like that should be called something else.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like I feel like that should be called something else.
Okay.
Because
just call it life, I guess.
Yeah, well, like however you want to call it, because time is so relevant that when you're bored, it feels like it's dragging, and when you're having fun, it's like it's flying.
It's stolen from you. Like,
you get what I'm saying?
Where's the time go?
Yeah. So now, how can two things be true at the same time? That's why I feel like it's not it's like an illusion. The perception of what time is like an illusion, because people. Yeah, I used to work almost 15 hours a day before I got injured and all that.
Let me ask you this before that. Do you think if you were a 2-dimensional being, you would call us illusions?
Wouldn't a 2-dimensional being be something like an ant?
No, it'd be something flat with only one line and another line. That's it.
Yeah, that's like an ant.
No, ant's not flat. It has a 3D body.
No. What I mean is, they say that ants live like in a 2-dimensional world.
Oh, where they can only go this way and this way.
That's what I'm talking about. Something like an ant is what you mean, right?
Yeah. The consciousness. Yeah.
Hmm.
Do you think they call us illusions? Those are just illusions. Because that's what you're saying about time, because time is a 4D concept. It's a 4th-dimensional measurement.
So all I was saying is that one day you're having fun, time is flying, and when you're bored, it's staying still, right? Mm-hmm. So I used to work like 14, 15 hours a day, right? And people be like, man, I'm so tired. I'd be like, yo, that's a figment of your imagination. They'd be like, no, it's not. No, it's not. I'm like, all right, so if the most beautifulest woman in the world called you right now and told you to hop on this plane and meet her on an island, oh, we going. Exactly. You're not tired no more. Mm-hmm. Figment of your imagination. You know what I'm saying? And people are like, oh, snap. Exactly.
That makes sense.
I don't believe in time. You know what I'm saying? Because one moment I'm having fun, 2 hours go by. When I'm bored, 2 hours feels like 5 seconds. It's like 5 seconds, and it ain't been nice. It's like, what the hell? You get what I'm saying?
So that means in a 5D perspective, you're like, time is nothing. Like, I don't believe in that.
So maybe I'm already in 5D, just experiencing 3D right now.
Yeah.
That's a possibility, isn't it?
Yeah, I got you.
Buddy.
We did that together. It's not you.
No, it's you. It's not me, buddy. It's you, buddy. Because I say certain things and I just throw it out there, and I want to see how the person handles it. Yeah. So, like I told you, a lot of people really, and GFS says this all the time. A lot of people that watch me, they really think I'm unintelligent. They think I'm dumb because of how I present it. Because I don't sit here and be like, "Hi, children, class is in session." Right. I'm not. That's not. Some people don't. Everybody don't always learn like that. You know what I mean? I say, yo, what do you guys think about this? Let's everybody learn as a collective. Mm. Get what I mean? Mm. Anything else you want to chime in, my guy?
No.
Let's see this, man.
There's many historical references through many communities and cultures that show that they were able to travel supposedly great distances. Now, some theorized that they did it through frozen ice age, across the northern or southern parts of the planet. But their cultures reference using boats and stuff, and there's evidence of boats, in the earth and stuff, or in the when they dig it up, right? So I tend to believe that the continents, or the divide of the continents, when they started, were not as far as they are now. So the distance they had to travel wasn't as grand as it is now. So there are expanding Earth theories that reference what I was talking about with the planet growing in size. Also, it coincides with how they were able to migrate, right? Because there wasn't as.
So I got a question, right? And I don't mean right? This has nothing to do with Mark. I want to get this loud and clear. This has nothing to do with Mark. Okay. I've never heard anyone theorize, hypothesize, or even take any type of conversational debate or any form of fashion of the world growing in size. Where do these conversations? I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. That's not what I'm saying.
So I get these thoughts and I research them and see if my thought is good.
Okay, because I've never heard of nobody ever say that before. Before you just said that right now, I've never heard of nobody saying that they feel like, because that makes sense. So what if these other Earth-like planets that are a lot bigger than ours, what if they grew to that size and they just didn't appear as that size?
Well, some theorize Jupiter is a pre-star.
So you're saying that you think Jupiter is going to turn into a star?
Some people.
My bad. Yeah, thank you. Because I said you. Yeah, thank you for that.
I don't know. I think it's possible. I don't doubt it.
Yeah, and I dig it. And it's like,
which means we would have another star.
And what? All right.
So that would be a third.
Do you remember when they were talking about all right, to you, is Pluto a planet? Yes or no?
It's a dwarf planet.
Do you remember when they named Pluto a planet?
Yeah, of course.
Do you remember when they took the planet status away from Pluto?
Yes.
Do you know? Can you tell me why they took it away?
Because it was too small or whatever.
But what else? There's something else.
Too far.
No, there's one main the main thing.
I don't know.
So the main reason why they said that Pluto cannot be a star a planet is because they said that Pluto's being affected by a bigger planet that we're unable to see. It's the way it moves, its gravitational pull is being affected by something else. But you know, this is when that whole Nibiru stuff started coming out. That they were like that Pluto isn't a planet because it's being affected by something larger that we don't have the present technology to see that far yet. That was at that time. You know what I'm saying?
The problem with that theory is that there's the other Oort cloud outside of our solar system.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's being affected by another planet outside of it, would it be in the Oort cloud? Like where? Like
they didn't get that far into it yet. Or
you know
I've noticed they haven't gotten data in. They weren't able to dive that far. They were just talking about its orbit. They were like, there's something affecting Pluto's orbit, and obviously it has to be something bigger than it for it to affect it. So then they started to hypothesize that maybe it could be a moon to another planet that we're not able to see. So since they couldn't prove it, that was part of the reason why they just took the title planet from it. And then it's like that whole shit went away. It's like you didn't hear too much after that. Then you know what you started hearing after that? We want to get to Mars.
You know what
then
I think
that
happened?
whole we want to get to Mars thing started coming out.
You know what I think happened?
Talk to us, my brother.
Mandela effect. I think
we're gonna dive back into this thing.
I think they time traveled us to another timeline where that Planet X theory, remember that whole Planet X theory that it's going to come by and do all this weird stuff or whatever.
Some people was calling that Planet Nibiru.
You know, I told Laura Eisenhower, I think what they did is they jumped us from this timeline to another where the Planet X and Earth collided and Earth got blown up and we just took its spot.
Yo, do you know that scientists
like Rick and Morty, dude?
That's but this is the crazy shit though. So check this out. You know that scientists right now, when they came out with the okay, this is gonna be a rhetorical question, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I know you know what quantum physics are.
Yeah.
And I know you know that that they actually have an image of a photo of the quantum at the quantum level, like the yin and yang.
Yeah.
Right, because that's what they say that is. Now they say, oh shit, they already had the technology because the photo of it is the exact same of the yin and yang, the exact same, right? So
we were taught the ancients some stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So now check it. Now they are starting to say that they found allegedly about that. They put it out there like that. Allegedly, they say that they found a universe like ours, but in the quantum level. It's
So
like hours.
So like that episode where he made a battery to his car and it's a little world inside of it.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, remember that? So now my mind don't work like everybody else. So everybody started going down the rabbit hole of, yo, is there another quantum universe and all that? My mind went the opposite way. My mind went, so if that's there, are we at a quantum level for a larger universe?
And that's where the idea of 5D and all that comes from. 12D and all that.
You see how that works?
Yeah.
So I be trying to have these conversations, right? And then people be like, yo, but Five, let's talk about this. I'm like, all right, bro, but how about we talk about this, what scientists are actually talking about now, the type of stuff that can actually affect your children and grandchildren.
Well, not only that, but attract higher level people to you.
Yo, I'm trying to build the foundation on step 1 and 2 to get to step 5, and my bro starts talking about step 7. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No, but you are correct. I totally agree with you. 100% fact.
I want to attract better people than me.
Yes, and I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I never want to be the wealthiest, because then you plateau. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah.
I want to keep leveling up, keep going. I want a quadrillionaire after I purchase everything I want.
Yeah, I own 10,000 billion Bitcoin. No.
You get what I mean? Quadrillionaire.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like after I buy my properties and I help all my and I do it, and then I'm gonna still have over a quadrillion in the bank.
Yeah. You
know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go.
As great of a distance as there is now. And that means there are less tides or ocean hindrances that could make it to where they could possibly travel across the continent, or not a continent, across the oceans or the large masses of water. So most of my personal beliefs come from the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. There is, the reference that they're 40,000 years old. I tend to believe the reason they say that they're 40,000 years old is because that's where they geologically have dug it up from or found it on the earth. So, and because the Emerald Tablets are...
So just on that note alone, check this out, because I'm going to bring back that time in a moment. So just on that thought alone, on what you said, do you think maybe that's part of the reason why this information isn't out there? Because with the current construct, our time, linear time going backwards only goes to a certain time. And this would actually supersede that by a lot.
Oh, yeah. I feel like it's potentially, if we go back to Sumerian references, they could potentially be 300,000 years old. And if Sumeria was like the dark empire of the time for 300,000 years, and Thoth talks about everything in the history and the context that the tablets were dealing with and when he wrote it, it makes sense to assume that maybe it's at least 50 to maybe even 300,000 years old.
So now, with the current construct and what they teach us in school and how they're, I don't want to say pushing, how they're providing, better word, how they're providing informational time about history and when it started according to the Bible and all these other religious beliefs that are more mainstream on the world.
Yeah.
Maybe do you think this is part of the reason why they're like suppressing this? Because some people say that this is in a museum.
Well, think about it like this. If you have a lot of power and control and there's something that comes up that could dismantle it or ruin your control over people.
Who's Mr. Tart?
What?
I don't. Guy, you can keep going. Sorry, damn it.
Okay, so yeah, no. If you're in a group and you and your ancestors have fought for 2,000 years to get to this point of control over people, and with the systems in play, you would not allow anything to dismantle that or to interfere with that unless it helped you maintain the status quo.
Unless it benefits your plan that's you
Or
have
that
already
too,
in place that
yeah.
that you and your generation's been working on.
Right.
You are, and I agree with that because you do what's the name of the museum that these they're in a museum, right?
Yeah, I assume so, right?
Yeah, I want to put that information out there real quick, so
All right.
just get nobody. Yeah, so people be like, "What? Oh, he's making up shit." Because once you say the name of this museum, people are going to see how reputable the museum is. Now that takes it. Now you can't question certain information because if this museum is so reputable, would you're gonna pick and choose what's inside of this museum that you're gonna go against? Yeah.
British Museum. Hold on, let me double check.
That's a fact. Steel sharpens steel and plastic creates toys. Yo, that is funny as hell. Steel sharpens steel and plastic creates toys. Nothing and confusing creates fools. You can find that in one of my books from the 90s. So you should have put the name of your book in there, and we could have said the name of your book. So people could have went and got that, Charles T. It would have been perfect if you would have put the book right after the 90s, and then people we could have and or matter of fact, go ahead.
It's the Rosicrucian Egyptian Museum
The Rosa. Now, is this not a highly revered museum?
in San Jose, California.
Get what I'm saying? So now, if we have a museum here in America that has something that predates most religions, this is in America, people. This isn't in some other foreign land where you need a passport to go see. No. This is in America. See how the chat staying still? People are learning right now. They're entertained. They like this. That's how you can tell when people like the content. They're paying attention to what's being said. That's a fact, bro. They like.
I think they have the original, the green emerald actual tablets.
Yeah.
There's a picture of a dude standing next to it. I don't know where he is though.
You know, Billy Carson says that you can go, and I think he said there's another museum too that has. Or was it that one? Or was it that?
Let me present this to people so they can see what I see.
Yeah, bring it up, my guy.
All right, here it is.
Would you look at that? Would you look at that?
That's crazy, huh? That's the same.
Yeah.
Right there.
So when people say we're making up myths and this is a story, this is in a reputable museum in the United States of America. So when somebody say, yo, you're talking about myths, that blows your whole myth out. Forget about that.
And they tried to carbon date it.
Correct.
And they couldn't.
Yeah, it's too old.
No, it's not on the periodic table. They don't know what's in
it. They don't have that. All right, so people don't get that periodic table. There's so much of that table missing.
Not only that, but they couldn't chip off a piece.
We don't have the proper shit that's strong enough to even do that.
Yeah.
Because you got to chip off a piece to be able to test it. And if you don't have
not completely, you can still put it under like a thing to try to figure it out. But it's
to try.
Yeah. But
to try. But what would help is if you had an actual piece that you could put under like a microscope or whatever they use. Because I'm not gonna say microscope because I've never tried to date anything in that manner. I've only tried to date adult women that are very attractive.
It's lasers. It's not
lasers. There you go. Like how imagine if we're the most advanced we've ever been, how are we finding stuff that we can't even figure out, let alone recreate?
And the reason they say that it's 38,000 years is because when they dig up things, they can measure what period dinosaurs or whatever come from, like how old in the dirt, how long ago it was.
Them resets that I was talking about. Yep.
So they dug it up and they're like, oh, this is from about 38,000 in the dirt area, but that doesn't mean it was actually made then. That's just when it was buried and lost.
Tried that one. Nah.
And I talk about that here coming up, so go ahead and continue.
That's awesome.
not on periodic table, and you can't scrape off a piece of carbon test it or find out how old it truly is. They just go off of the reference of where they found it in the earth. So they just go off of geologically, but that doesn't mean it's actually older and that it was just left at that location at that time 40,000 years ago. This could be actually quite older than that. Don't know exactly, but it's my theory. The reason I reference the Emerald Tablets is just spiritual insight, migration, religious, established, how the religions were established, or many beliefs actually coordinate with the teachings from the Emerald Tablets. It's, the Bible, Old Testament, Quran, Buddhism, all religions, all beliefs, even the indigenous people. There are connections you can connect or make with the Emerald Tablets, and how, because there are specifics in the tablets that correlate with these beliefs. So in the Emerald Tablets, it does reference the serpent beings who are hiding as humans. Being humans, when you look, were.
So are you talking about like a shapeshifter here? When you say acting or looking like humans, is that what you're alluding to? Something like a shapeshifter? Mark, I don't know if you're muted or what. No, you are. I don't know what happened. Why?
Oh, my bad. I forgot.
Oh,
No,
I'm like, what's going on?
No, it actually does say that in the tablets. That's what it actually says.
Okay. Oh, no. So what I don't want to do, I don't want to share 60. I want people to go watch your video.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying? That's why we're doing it in this format.
Okay.
I mean, like, I really want to use what we're saying and how the visuals, all of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we're going to share a lot of it, but I don't want to do all of it because I want them to go see it. I want to leave a nice, good portion of it in the air. Like, the video is 36 minutes long. We're only at 8 minutes, 46 seconds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we're nowhere near even half of the video.
Yeah.
And we're already an hour, and that's why I'm doing it like this. I'm trying to present it so we can intrigue people to the point that they're like, yo, we want to, even if it's for the production, how you put the images together. I mean, who knows? It's like we always say, you don't know what could happen. You just don't know.
So yeah, in the tablets, it talks about how the fall of Atlantis wasn't just technology and whatnot. There was these beings that were hiding amongst us, and that were doing dark arts and dark magic and stuff,
like an infiltrator.
Yeah.
Like when people all right, I'm gonna give a wild story.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I believe something sort of this happened in what was that, Inglorious Bastards?
Mm-hmm.
Remember that movie?
And this, I think this has to do with the snake too, telling Eve to eat the apple.
You mean all this stuff? I'm pretty sure a lot of these stories are connected in different ways. But like you said earlier, the people that are in place at the top, they put a certain structure in place, and these plans are probably thousands of years ahead and been going on for God knows how long.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thoth talks about how you need to watch out for them and stay away from them and don't trust them.
Mm.
Able to speak or call them out pretty much from their disguise. You could see that they were reptilian and not human, but that they were actually hiding amongst us as humans.
Can you pause it?
And Thoth warned of these beings.
You good?
Go ahead,
all right, so the tablets talk about a way to force them to show themselves. So like in when people exercise possessions, in like the movie, what's the movie about the couple that would go help exercise people? The recent movies they've been coming out with the Christian and the possessions and stuff. The scary movies, you know what I'm talking about, with that nun and stuff.
No, I don't do movies.
Okay, well, they talk about how you have to have the name of the demon to be able to cast the demon out. You see what I'm-
Oh, okay. Like so basically having the demon's name is how basically you own it enough, or you can command it to make it do what you want it to do.
Not only that, but make it show itself.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Make it to do what you want it to do.
Well, not necessarily, because that's more like a Solomon ring power of controlling demons. We're not trying to do that.
Okay.
We're trying to get them to show themselves and to, get them off of our area or out of our fields. So Thoth talks about there's a way. It does, for some reason, it's lost the word or something, the vibration or something, frequency or something, but maybe we do have it and we just haven't experienced a reptile to say it to them yet. But there's some like way of like saying something and they just are forced to show themselves. They can't hide.
Yeah, it's almost like something that's controlling their DNA. It's like it's like a response.
Yeah,
like they can't control it. Like
yeah.
Once it's like a magnet and metal.
Or like garlic to a vampire.
Okay, that's a movie thing.
Yeah.
I've never seen nobody actually do that to a vampire.
Right.
Let alone, we're not gonna say about seeing a vampire with her, because I don't know. I know that we don't have all the information out there in the world.
Yeah,
I know that, but publicly, I never heard nobody of that actually working.
No, I know.
Imagine you see a vampire and you put garlic on and you throw a cross, and the vampire grabs your cross, throws it, grabs the garlic, bites it, and laughs at you.
No,
imagine some shit like that happens.
No, supposedly the garlic just makes him like react vampiric,
and then you know what they're gonna say? Damn it, no, Mark, I gotta listen to you, Mark.
No, I'm just talking about.
I'm a vampire now.
I'm talking about legend. I don't know if this is true.
Oh my god! They're gonna say, "Yo, what happened? How'd you become a vampire?" I was listening to Thoth Mark. He told me garlic and a cross, and this guy was. Oh man! Yo,
hopefully, you're a daywalker, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, for real. Daywalkers. Oh yeah.
From their disguise, you could see that they were reptilian and not human, but that they were actually.
So, do you think that there's a correlation with their skin complexion? But hold on, I want to wait, because I didn't think, because this thought just came now while speaking.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think there's a correlation with their skin, with the skin complexion of the reptilian, the color of the tablet, and if you wear copper and that copper gets wet, your skin starts to turn that type of color. Or if you wear fake jewelry and your skin starts to turn like that green.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there could be a correlation there? Or do you just think that's some messed up metals that you're wearing?
All right, so we have to go out into context. Okay. So when Thoth wrote this and placed it, it was 40,000 years ago, right? Or supposedly, right? Or longer.
Allegedly,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So how much has changed since then? How much have they maybe evolved themselves? Maybe they evolved into other humans. We don't know.
Yeah, anything is possible. That's what we're saying. We don't know. Right? Boom. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
We don't know. This is just another piece of the puzzle that could be here. We don't know. We're just providing more information.
Exactly.
That's all we're doing. You're providing information, right?
Yep. And that's the beautiful thing about freedom. You get to make it up for yourself.
Yeah. And as long as you're following the YouTube guidelines, should be okay.
Yeah.
Because people get it confused. America is the land of the free. You are correct. But YouTube does not have freedom of speech. There is guidelines here.
Right.
So we gotta.
But that's because you're not in the country. You are in their platform.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, yeah, it is a free country. But what you think? I'm gonna let you come in my house and sleep with my wife because it's a free country?
Or let you in my corporation and just have your way?
Yeah, and just take and funnel all the money out of my account and put it into yours? No.
Yeah.
It is a free country, but there's still rules, man.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Actually hiding amongst us as humans. And Thoth warned of these beings. There are other potential influences that I believe that these beings allied with the Anunnaki. Some people say the Anunnaki and reptiles are the same. I actually disagree with that. If you go to the Sumerian tablets, and they're 300,000 years of record, kings or whatever.
Hold on, because I know you're gonna explain it in the video. I know you are. I want
But
you to.
not
How
as
long
good
ago?
as I can now.
Yeah, that's what that. Boom. That's the reason why I stopped it right there. I want. So first, I want you to give me context on the day you studied for this video, the day you uploaded it, and probably what you have learned from then to now.
I started studying in 2015, and then I presented it almost 4 years ago. So that was
21.
5-6 years of research until I made that video.
So when you made the video, what you were about to say is the information you had to that point. What about from that point to today?
Well, I told you about the Dyson sphere. I told you that maybe the reptilians have evolved differently, and they're not as bad as they were, or something like that. Who knows? So there's a lot that's done.
So what people don't know is that Sasquatch actually has a whole nother aspect, and that's why I wonder he was waiting to see what your video. And this is how much respect we have. He doesn't even want to be on the platform to take away from what's going on.
Have him join now. We can start.
I've been telling him this, and he's you know how he's not.
Because I want to debate it with him. I want to tell him what I think.
No, so what he wants to do, he wants this portion of it to finish before he joins the panel. That's what he's saying.
Okay.
Because he doesn't want to interrupt, I guess, or because I don't think he would ever be able to take away. I think he can only add to what's going on.
Right.
I know that.
That's what debating is we're picking each other's mind, trying to figure it out.
It's not. We're not arguing. People get these words mixed up. People don't argue. We're not doing all that. People don't get it. I'm not doing all that race shit. If you're looking for that race conversation and all that, you're in the wrong channel. That shit is never coming up on this panel again. And if you bring up anything racial in my comment section, I'm blocking you. People who try to bring up race on my panel, you're getting booted off my panel. So, like, let's say somebody named John comes on the panel and tries to ask Mark something about race. I'm booting John before Mark even answers. I don't even want nobody to answer the question because we're not doing that here. We're not.
Yeah, everything's been settled. We're moving on.
Man, that's out. Like, I don't care if you think it's not settled. That's a you problem.
Yeah,
that's
not a us problem.
Yeah, like that's a you problem. I'm not with that. We good with that.
As you can see, the sculptures and the carvings.
Oh yes, thank you. The sculptures, yes. So a lot of people are finding sculptures like that in the video. That's like a little snake or something, right? Or like a reptilian, maybe
all over the world in different shapes and forms.
Exactly, and they're hella old and they're buried, and some people are finding these things. Like, how are we explaining that there's so many different locations, land masses that today were not connected? But in a simplistic mindset, if you put your Pangea effect in there, 90% of the shit will start to make sense.
Exactly, and then if you add the Thoth telling you about the reptilians hiding amongst us and like having human form, but they can have a reptilian head, but they can also shapeshift and look like a human. Talking about that.
We have different interpretations of same effect. That's what we're talking about. But you know what makes it interesting? When we could come up on a panel like men, and even if we don't agree, because remember, we're providing content. We could provide our viewpoints that differ in a way where the people that's watching it can enjoy it. And that's a fact, bro. I like that.
Well, what I was going to say is if you follow the train of thought that they were amongst us and we fell into darkness and we, pretty much, there was some dark history, right?
Yep.
It was, especially, out of those areas of the old world from the ancient times. They'll even tell you there was some crazy stuff going on to our ancestors in their opinion and what they were telling us, whether it was, their misunderstanding or not. There was still some crazy stuff going on and people were not being very nice, right? It was very negative, dark times. So from Atlantis, if you believe in this, the reptilians, it seems like they won and took over, right? And that's why we have all the statues and we try to mimic what we see in the sky, like, you know, the dances, all that stuff.
Obviously, but I'm sorry. Go ahead, brother.
There's obviously something there to say, like there's a connection one way or another, whether it's made up, whatever you want to say. There's something there.
Well, they really committed to something that was made up. If it was made up, that was a hell of a commitment to some made up shit. Because, like, they had to have some type of effect on the grand scheme of things to be finding all these little statues everywhere to the point that it's buried. It's not like surface level buried. You get what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's from a long time ago buried.
Yeah, like very, very deep into the earth buried. You know, it's just kind of crazy, man. I really think that there's a lot more info out there that we're just not privy to.
Yeah.
I think that they were actually working together and that the Anunnaki and the reptilians are actually two different races. And that there are actually many more races that were part of Earth's history.
Can you pause it? All right. So when people reference Anunnaki, that there are those who say all that means is people from the stars or heaven. Anunnaki, the word itself. That's what they tell you. Now, if you go back to the logical mind of the people back then and you say our rulers are from there, outer space, and that's all we're talking about is our rulers are from out, not here, right? Essentially is what they're saying. These people aren't from here. They're not from here. They're ruling us, but they're not from here. Essentially is what Anunnaki means. That doesn't necessarily mean that it wasn't a mix of different aliens, or it was just one. Like, we got to think of a primitive mindset of our ancestors saying, I don't know what this is, but they're not from here. You know what I mean? Like, and if you think of other languages from like maybe Spanish or like Latin to English adds a whole bunch of words, right? There's like words that you guys like we have 4 words and you say 1 word. You know what I mean?
So phrase, the word cabrón, you got to create an entire paragraph to give you the definition of this one word. That word does not exist in English.
See what I'm saying? And they want to say Anunnaki, all it meant is this. Like, how do you know what that exactly that's what it meant? But what if it meant like 5 different things?
Yeah, but because in the Bible, the translation is singular and plural. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people forget the Elohim, the L's. Is, you know what I mean? Elohim is singular and plural, and it says in hour is not how a singular thing would speak. Hour indicates multiple. You know what I mean? But anyways, that's yeah. But go ahead, my brother.
No, that's all I was saying. It was just like there's no way you can just assume that's all it meant. That maybe it meant 5 things.
Yeah, it could have meant a bunch of stuff. Yeah. You are correct, because we are trying to translate from one language to another language. Yeah. But not even directly, though, because there's a few languages in between those. So, yeah.
Giants.
Where was this at? This photo?
I don't remember where I got it from. So
no. What I'm saying is, where do they say that this location was? Is what I mean. Like, where was this photo taken?
That is the Central South America locations, I think.
I just want people to know that this is not like you didn't create this image.
No.
That's all that was. That's all. Because a lot of people say, "Oh, giants, this shit is fake," and this and this and that. Well, it's only fake to those who are not privy to the information. Once you start seeing all the stuff, now you're gonna get mad at why we didn't know.
Well, another beautiful thing about the North and South America being not tapped into for thousands of years, while Europe and the old lands were being dug up and mined for hundreds of years, these lands weren't dug up like that. So we start digging it up. Yeah, we're gonna find some stuff.
Yeah, it's still intact. Everything is still intact. It hasn't been touched because all the archaeological digs were being conducted in locations that are not in like South America, correct?
Right. until recently. So
Yeah, until like I think until that Olmec once that Olmec stuff and all that, everything, the Mayans, all that started being publicized. That's when I think that they really started going down there. But
right.
prior to that, I
Because
agree.
you got to think, like, let's say we go back to 800 AD, 900, 9th century, 10th century, any of that kind of stuff. If I was one of those people and I dug up some crazy stuff that I couldn't explain, I'd be like, demon, burn it. You know what I mean? Because I'm dumb, primitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
everything is. Go ahead.
because there would be no evidence, essentially, is what I'm saying. Because anybody who found it would have freaked out and probably destroyed it or something.
Right now, you go with something simple as this iPhone. To that time, some people are going to demonize you and some people are going to idolize you. They're going to be like, oh, how can he do that? He only a demon can do that. And other people are going to say, how can you do that? Only God could do that. Like people don't get like the word master. They didn't, if you were really good at gardening, you weren't called the master of garden. You were called the god of gardening. You are the best at it. It was almost like an echelon.
Or we're doing the same thing and now we call them PhD doctors.
You heard me? You're just such at the highest level yeah, that's a fact, bro. I believe that type of shit because definition and words change over time periods. You got a good point.
Have been found. I tend to think the giants, Anunnaki were giants. Egyptian cultures, a lot of across the world showed that there were giants. It's easier to wrap your brain about a simpler misunderstanding than a true, because truth is stranger than fiction.
1 second. Salute to Billy O with the $2 super chat. Appreciate you. He says checking in. Peace, peace, peace to you, my brother.
Right on, Billy O. Appreciate it, man.
That's a fuck. Let us know what y'all think of this content, man. The presentation, what he's talking about. Again, you don't have to agree with it. You don't have to. We're just talking about the effort he put into this. You get what I'm saying? Because what he believes and what you believe don't necessarily have to be true. Because a bunch of people watch baseball and can't hit a ball for shit.
Yeah. Or some people think it's boring watching baseball. But some people love the heck out of it.
Yeah.
So it's, to present information, humans naturally want to try to connect it in a way that we can all accept under our limited consciousness or perceptions. What we don't understand, we want to put it in a box, right? So there's a lot of misinformation. Here's some images referencing that the Egyptians and the Sumerians.
So what we doing here, Billy O, because I see you asking, he goes, QQ, catching up. He goes, where did they make the find on the Giants? So what we're doing is I'm only trying to screen share a certain portion of the, although I see what you're doing. We're not, stop. Because now we're getting towards the end of this video of how much we're going to share. Because it's starting to work. What I wanted to do was make people question, come up with questions, right? And your questions is what's going to hopefully help you go to his channel to watch the video, to get in the comment section and say, hey, brother, where did you get this info? Where was that found? We're trying to create traction. And I said I'm only going to do part of the video. We're almost at halfway, and I don't want to reach 50% of the video. You get what I mean? So we appreciate, I want people to go to the channel, watch the video, and get in that comment section and be like, where did you get this from? And he doesn't care. Evidently, he doesn't care.
There you go. I'm just
so here's the answer to your question, because he doesn't care.
Oh, that's one of them. There's other locations. Romania, Krabby Cave.
Go back up to the top, the one I showed earlier.
No,
what was that, China?
That's the obvious one, but no, there's other locations too. Look at that.
Well, evidently,
that's right here. Look at all that.
Oh, my bad. Hold on, let me take this back off the screen.
I don't know if you can see that.
I got it zoomed in as much. Unless you can zoom in. I got it.
No, you don't see the map. That's I'm on the wrong one. That's why. Okay, hold on.
If you zoom in more, because I got it on the screen as much as it could go on the screen.
I gotta show another screen. That's the
Right,
issue.
right. We're trying to intrigue people to get people to watch.
That's what I'm trying to show.
So what are we looking at here, my guy?
Top 10 giant discoveries in North America. Nephilim giants, human giant skeletons found.
And all the purples in here in the USA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to tell people about this, that there were so many giant mounds and so many giant burials here in America, and everybody thinks I'm crazy. And then when you start pulling the facts in their face, now they just get mad, yell at you, and they start just insulting you, right? And then they're going to tell you how much smarter they are than you while insulting you, instead of just, bro, just do the research and come up to your own decision. It's a whole lot, because it's not just a little bit, man. It's a lot of info. And some of these places you can actually go to, because I believe there's burial mounds and they found in like Ohio. I believe there was some in Ohio. I believe some I think they have some in like upstate New York. Then they have a few in Pennsylvania. I'm like, it's out there. And I mean, actual locations. Never mind looking on the internet. Where just look on the internet wherever you are and the closest location to you, and go there and see what you find. You know what I mean? See, does it look like if maybe there was something there, or maybe there was something dug up, or whatever the case may be.
So it says there's one Turkey, Maximus Thrax, Caesar of Rome, Goliath. Let's see, this one's in France. Carthaginians. They're all over the world.
Yeah. You put your banner back up there. Definitely go subscribe to the brother's channel, man. His channel right here, man. Thoth Mark. That's the name of his channel. But hold on, we're not done. We're not done. Let's man, let me pull the screen share back up.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to present anything more than just, here you go. This is where you look.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We're gonna play a little bit more.
All right.
We're showing you that the Anunnaki were giants. They were actually different alien races from Atlantis, stayed in contact and managed Egypt. Okay, they were all working together after the Pleiadian Wars, or Star Wars, or I don't know exactly the specifics or details.
And we appreciate you for your comments. Thank you. Appreciate that. Definitely appreciate you.
So, you ever hear of the theory that Star Wars was actually something that happened in history?
I don't know, because I have a whole different theory about Star Wars. I have an entire theory that I think I've only heard one or two other people say. And all right, let me change that. I believe maybe one or two movies, because I told you I don't really watch movies. I don't have a TV in my room no more.
Mm-hmm.
Some people say that, the people that have it, right, because they have the time, they have the right editing tools, they actually show the scenes that they're alluding to when they talk about how maybe some of these stories are the liquid that jumps down your spine, then after a certain time goes back up to the brain. You know what I'm talking about? But that's irrelevant. Come, you talk to me about what you think.
Okay. I think there's a potential Orion Wars.
Okay.
And like the establishment of a potential like galactic federation that a lot of these people talk about. So like to get to that point like we are now, we had to fight each other, duke it out, and try to figure out what we want as rulership, right? It took thousands of years to get here, right? To this point.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like now imagine that on a massive galaxy scale with species intermingling with each other.
Yeah.
So like maybe there was a massive wars that happened in the dark and the light would go back and forth, like Star Wars talks about, you know, in the beginning, episode 1, the good guys are ruling and everybody's trying to, but the dark is starting to creep up and wanting to take over. And then the Senate, and all that gets corrupted in episode 3. And all of a sudden now you have the Empire is dark and evil, and, the back and forth between good and light, or good and evil, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that whole Orion, the reason I say Orion is because the pointing of the map of Giza or the pyramids to Orion's belt, the whole importance of why Orion's a big deal. Even in Men in Black, they talk about Orion's belt as like being a huge big deal. It's like saving the universe and stuff like that. Like, so maybe there's some kind of historical implication from all that. That's saying the Galactic Federation went through their wars, and now here we are. And because we live in a circumstance that is post those ages of chaos and darkness and fighting, war in heaven or whatever, we were left to our own, circumstance with whatever we had here at this time.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, what do we do now? They left us. So, what, they even talk about the ancients. The gods left us.
Yeah. Yeah, and left us to our own devices, basically.
Yeah, because the wars ended.
Yeah. And maybe they had to go somewhere where there was still war, maybe. Who knows? Or maybe they felt like it's time for me to go home now. The war is over. Who knows? Who knows? Oh, snap. Look at what my boy said. Don't get it twisted. Put some respect on his name. Yo, Levo, I am a high-ranking member of the Galactic Federation of Planets.
All right, well, I'm a representative, so nice to meet you.
Let's get a little bit more, man. A little bit more. Well, let me see what time we at. Yeah, we at 11:16. Yeah.
At this moment, that's to come. But this is just mostly about the fall of Atlantis and the rise of religion. Okay, this isn't about all the other specifics prior to that. So during Atlantis, or the last part of Atlantis age, before the Sumerians took over, or the Anunnaki, and before Thoth went to Egypt and built pyramids, or at the time of Egypt, actually coinciding with I tend to believe, the second half or third, the third part of the Sumerian 300,000 years, there were many different types of aliens. The Ophanim.
You're muted for me. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Before we hit play, what do you think we're looking at?
Well, some people say it's a tree of life.
No, I mean the whole picture, the tree, what they have in their hands, the symbolism of the wing, all of it. What do you think we're looking at?
We're looking at like when you go to get grapes or whatever, like harvest your plants.
Yeah.
If you notice, they have the little things in their hands, like buckets.
Like little suitcases?
Or suitcases, whatever. I think they're buckets. And then on the other hand, they're doing something to the plant or whatever it is, the tree or whatever that thing is, and they're putting it and getting something from it and putting it in the suitcase. They're buckets, essentially. And then what is the thing they're getting from, and why do they have another like tool in their hand? Like, is that a crystal? Like, what is that thing? It's some kind of a scanner that picks up something, like in your video games, like when you go pick up things with a scanner and take this and you move it over here. Like maybe it was something like that.
Yeah, because we don't know the technology that was around at that time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, but what is that tree thing? Like, is that a real thing that looked like that, or is that a representation like a periodic table or some kind of chemistry or scientific explanation of something? Maybe it's a genetic coding or something that they're tapping into, and maybe we're actually just a species that they can use to crossbreed or make other species, or like, you know, the whole legends of mythical creatures like Medusa and stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe they were doing this in a harmonious, positive way, but then dark beings came and started using it in a bad way and making those creatures, those nightmares that our ancestors dealt with, like Wendigo or all those nasty, scary things that our ancestors talked about. Maybe they were created from that thing, which was hijacked and taken by dark. That's what I think.
That's what's up. Let's share a little bit more, maybe like another minute or so.
Okay.
Developed sacred life of humanity. So the Ophanim were actually bird people. A lot of Illuminati family, college fraternity connections go off of their personal beliefs over the last hundreds of years that the Nazis also coincided with Hitler, saying that the only the Anunnaki and they're the only human aliens that were ever here, and that they're direct descendants. So there is an agenda to get you to believe that as well. Now, that doesn't mean everybody who presents or concludes these are necessarily evil or bad people. They just do the humanistic behavior of coinciding with the powers that be, because why would they allow me to do what I did if they're really evil? Well, because that's how evil works. They manipulate. They try to use the truth in a way to manipulate you into a direction or agenda that they want. So Enki and the Emerald, or not the Emerald, the Sumerian tablets, Enki was the ruler.
You go ahead and
the Sumerians.
I just wanted to see what you was about to say, like a couple more seconds. It's at 13:44. I'm gonna stop at like 14:14.
Yeah, this is where it gets really into some deeper stuff.
Okay, so then we'll leave it. We'll bring it to 15 more seconds then.
Okay.
Before his brother Enlil came, and Enki was like a rock star scientist that like to have a good time with humanity. So him and Thoth were the ones who put pineal glands in humanity.
Now, right there is a great spot to stop.
Yeah.
They put pineal glands. So now, if you actually want to get more into as you can see, the video is 36 minutes, 20 seconds long. We only played 14 minutes of the video.
Before you go anywhere else, let me make a point. Go back to that. I want to see that picture again. Show them that picture. Yeah, and make it large again. Okay, so on the left, you have a Sumerian representation of their god, and on the right, you have the Egyptian bird. Now, my question is if they actually saw human head on these flying beings, why didn't they put a human head on all the flying beings?
You're asking why is the human head only on some other flying beings?
Yeah.
It's a great question.
They obviously can sculpt it. They obviously knew how to make the art of a human head.
It's a good question.
Yeah. So what you think they would just put a bird on there because they can fly spaceships? Why not? You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's definitely a great question. You are because now you're making me beg the like if there were already statues or not really statues, but drawings of the same type of entities, some have human heads and some have animal heads, then at that point, what is the representative of the animal? And or could he have only gotten the human head because he's of higher stature than the rest? And maybe they try to symbolize the rest of the people with animal because they're not of that caliber. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I mean, like, all right, like maybe he's the general and the rest of them are soldiers.
I understand that concept of like, well, this alien human being giant thing was in charge of this part, which would resemble this frog or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I get that concept, but my issue is if they're thinking like that, then they're not very primitive humans.
Well, some people say that,
if just follow my train of thought here for a second. And if they think, okay, well, that's not very primitive thinking to start carving animals as a representation to whatever that person was rulership of or controlling of, or like, you know, that's a lot of the consensus for a lot of people, is that they're just representing something that's with that symbology.
Yep.
If that's the case, and then are you saying that the humans were taught to do that to those heads because that person represented that? Because humans were taught, right? That's what they all say. They were taught things. They didn't just all of a sudden invent and pick up things and like, oh yeah, I'm going to make this and that. No, they said they were taught. They were taught by these Nephilim or whatever you want to call them. And there's bones, so you can't deny that they didn't exist. You can't say that the giants didn't exist. So there's got to be something. Either the giants manipulated the humans to do it, and that's a potential truth, or they literally drew what they saw.
Yeah. So now what I was saying was more to the other part. So some people say like the snake. Right? Some people not with the Bible and what you said earlier. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like on the statues. Some people say that you see the snake because they're saying something more along the lines of both sides of the brain. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the symbolism for that. Get what I mean? And I'm not saying that this is facts. We're just providing information, different options. You know, who knows? But I don't. Matter of fact, the only way you're gonna know is if you actually. That's what you got to do. You actually have to go to this channel, subscribe to it. Do me the favor, subscribe, and go to this video and watch it. Finish the video off, and then get in that comment section and tell them what you think. Be like, oh, well, this and that. Because remember, he actually made this video a while ago, and today he has more information. So maybe with you guys' comments, maybe you can have him do another part to this video, an updated version of that video. Is that an option for you?
Yeah, for sure.
Is there anything you want to say before we close out? Because I don't think Caucasian going to be here, and I got another live going, and then we got to pull up to your stuff a little while later, too.
Yeah, in 4 hours.
Yeah, and I want to eat dinner.
Yeah, no, I'm good. You guys, thank you so much for being here, participating, and subscribe, like, and share, and all those amazing things you do.
That's amazing things you do, bro. We like that, man. We like the way you provided the context. We like the way we like your presentation on it. We like I wonder if you could let me see if you can hear this. Let me see if I can. Can you hear that?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you did something like that while you're talking behind it at real low level. Maybe not that sound, something like that.
Okay.
You get what I mean? But everything else,
nice.
Yeah. Because you see how the parts where you're a little quiet and just to cover that part. But other than that, I like the way you presented it. I like the way you got your slides. I like the way you got all that. Like you're always open and willing to add in new information. How like, okay, I thought like that time. Then today I don't really think like that because I got more information today than I did. That. Which is why I said maybe with enough views and comments and the right comments, maybe he'll be like, yeah, let me give y'all a part 2 or an updated version of this.
One thing everybody can learn from science is the basics of how science is done. So you present what you have and you go continue your research. And you stay open to potential changes in your thinking. Mm-hmm. That's how science works. You have to keep repeating the process until you figure it out. And you have to stay open to being wrong.
Definitely. So can you give me, let me take off my glasses. Now I want to ask for a personal favor. It has nothing to do with Atlantis. Okay. Can you give us a plug on your channel? Type of content you do, what you like to do on your channel, what you do on your channel, what people ask for, what type of a content is already on there, what type of content you have on the way.
Okay. A lot of my content has evolved from over the last few years. I used to just play games and just have fun and get into them, but now I'm like focusing more on my natural gifts, like being able to do tarot readings. So if you're ever interested in that, I present those and do monthlies for you. Also, if you want one in person, I can do that too. There's also the astrology I do with my Twitter, and I connect with other people who are more professional experts on it, like the Peace Dealer. Shout out him. But I also have my Rumble. My Rumble is where I do my real deep, in-depth stuff with all of this, because Rumble allows me to speak freely, and there's stuff I can't say on YouTube. You know what I mean?
You are correct. Can you do me a favor, man? Can you give me a link to your channel? I always, even on my own channel, I be trying to do it, and I can never find where the hell the link be at.
And then on Twitch,
I think I just found it.
On my Twitch, I schedule things, but I don't really follow through a lot. But on Twitch, I schedule gaming and stuff. If you ever want to play games with me or participate in that too. You can also interact with my stream on Twitch and mess with me and make me do Rubik's Cubes while I'm trying to play a game. You can make me fail and like crash and stuff with the stream loop cards and stuff like that. You can also, if you're on Twitch, you can participate in unlocking the treasures of my bits. If you can get bits and lock treasures, there's like secret clips and videos that pop up. If you do, there's a lot there on my Twitch I can present. I also eat on Thursdays, if I'm on Twitch, I'll eat a bean boozled if you subscribe, which is nasty or it's sweet. It's random. So yeah, I'm willing to let people mess with me if they want.
Can you do me a favor? Can you drop your link in the chat for me, please? I keep trying to do it, man.
Which
and
link?
It's highlighting all your followers. Oh, snap. We are, what is it called? It's not I think we're ad-libbing in real time because this guy did it again.
Which guy?
The Squash.
Oh, my brother from another mother.
I didn't think he was going to pull up. I really didn't think it was.
I was waiting until he got his whole spiel done. I was trying to anyway.
He been wanted you up here.
It's okay.
Yeah, I know, but I confuse people. It seems to be my natural state of affairs is to be confusing. I don't mean to. It just sort of happens. All right. The reason I didn't want to come up at the same time as a counterpoint to what he's saying is like his narrative requires an intellectual throughput from, okay, you have this, then that, then this, then that, then this. My concept requires a similar sort of a discernment, I suppose. What I did is I looked at history and looked at all of the disparaging or rather disparate myths, legends, stories, and how they all seem to line up. And it just seems natural that there was probably some type of for lack of a better term, civilization before the current rash of civilizations. And it is from that civilization these root narratives come from. The concept of the divine feminine, the egg earth, the rising of the earths from the ocean, the great flood, the Noah's Ark or Gilgamesh's raft, or the great gourd of one twin, two twins, or whichever ones you want to pick out, right? And at a later point, and it's not specified when in these myths, a lawgiver, a for lack of a better term, a learned, educated person shows up in a bunch of different cultures, like before history, in their history, shows up and just dispenses with this knowledge of how to make canals, how to do basic math, where the stars are, why they're there, what they are, how to do stonework. Massive stonework seems to show up before the itty bitty stuff, which is odd, right? When you find these megalithic structures, you find smaller structures on top of them that were not built by the megalithic builders, but were built on top of by the later generations. And so I had to sit down in my own head and think, how could it be possible for there to be a world-arching civilization that seems to have influenced every single culture of the era, the earliest cultures of man, and yet there be no evidence of that culture immediately obvious on the earth? And I came up with one possible conclusion, and naturally, when you have only a single possible conclusion, you turn and look at the same information again with a what is it called? A confirmation bias, right? You look back at the information and say, okay, how much of this can lead you to this conclusion now that you understand the conclusion is an option? And I'm aware of confirmation bias built into this. The assumption is something happened. Whatever that civilization was, or hell, it might have been just a village. We don't know. It's just that all of our stories essentially were birthed from this central culture, as it were.
Right.
So how is it that we've looked for the past 200 years and have yet to find any evidence of an overarching culture in existence that doesn't link directly to stonework, like filled up canals and buried rocks? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it occurred to me that if something had been misinterpreted at the very beginning as something it was not, then everything would kind of fall into place. And that misinterpretation was the concept of Atlantis, Lemuria, and Mu, right?
Yeah.
So if I sail up to your town and I pop up over there, you're all dark-skinned as hell, and I'm all light-skinned as hell, and I walk in, I am an artifact. I am new, I am fresh, and it's obvious. There is no hiding it, right?
Right.
Yeah, you stick out.
Stick out like a sore thumb. That's right.
Oh.
So when someone asks, where do you come from? This individual who's from somewhere else may not speak the language clearly. And so when you ask him where he comes from, he points to the ocean and says Atlantis or Mu or Lemuria, right? And you interpret that to mean, well, there must be an island or a continent or something out there for homie to live on. But what if we've been on boats since we figured out sticks float?
Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
The reason I bring this up is there are two points of human history as currently understood, general consensus, I'm not being specific, that there was a developmental period in the Rift Valley in Africa, a group of human-like creatures spread out from there. Then there was a later occupation of more human-like creatures that existed there with a different stone technology. And then even later, another group of physically identical individuals show up, and yet they're carrying atlatls and bows and using advanced stone tech. And this all happens in about 30,000 years. And if you've looked at lithic technology, these things stick around for a really long time. Like the Acheulean age. Go ahead.
You said 30,000 years. That's perfect, because what if humanity wasn't free to do all that until about 30,000 years ago?
There's a reason he wouldn't. I think that maybe this is what I'm saying about the source of that myth being much older than the accepted narrative we have today. Modern humans existed in Southern Africa for a really long time, a little over 500,000 years. We've got remains and evidence and things. What we don't really have up until about 2 million years ago, actually a little later, 200,000 years ago, my bad. Mm-hmm. Since about 200,000 years ago, before this point, we do find evidence of fires, but the evidence of fires are generally in association with natural fires. Yeah, so there'll be an area where fire burned through, and then there's a fire pit where the fire was maintained for a while after that forest fire burned through.
Yeah.
Right. And so that has been in some cases deemed to be like a campsite, and in other situations deemed to be an errant pile of wood that just burned longer than the rest for some reason. It's not always accepted as being a camp.
Maybe there was a structure.
But what if? Perhaps. But what I'm getting at is, I don't think the brain we have today actually developed in Africa. There used to be a series of islands all up and down over there next to where Madagascar is.
Yeah.
And around 250,000 years ago or so, they were subsumed by two things. One, there was a series of eruptions that took place in the Indian Ocean, which probably would have just slothed water all the way across the top. Mm-hmm. And about 2,000 years later, the sea level rose suddenly, which completely subsumed all of these islands. What if, and stick with me on this one, modern humans did not develop on the savannas of the African plains like we've been told, but rather on an island that was volcanic, which would give these people access to fire. Think Hawaii, Kilauea erupting all the time, right? These people would become immune to the fear of fire because they would understand that fire is controllable after an amount of time, right? So they can see the fire over there. It's always there. We don't have to wait for lightning to start it. If you need fire, you go over, stick a stick in the lava and walk away. The lava is always over there. It's relatively safe. And so what I'm saying is we need something to be an impetus from the animal behavior we observe in the evidence previous to this point versus the cultured behavior we see afterwards.
Right, I get you.
Okay.
So a more primitive time.
And that would mean we did not derive our protein from cracking big bones apart. That was later. We derived our protein probably from shellfish.
I would think so. Yeah, because they'd be everywhere, and they still are.
An island everywhere, and you can just wander around and pick them up. It takes very little effort. On the East Coast over here, we have millions of shell middens that are as old as the hills. Like you'll find a 200-300 year oak growing on top of them. I mean, they're ancient. We of course can't date them without finding something in them that is organic. Now the shells, they do have, you can take a pitch at like some carbon-14 on them, but the issue is they're kind of made of carbon. So it doesn't give a good read with shells. That's technically inorganic, even though it was made in a certain time period. It's also affected by the time, the rain, how much, pH there is in the environment.
That's why they have rough estimates. It's not exact.
Right.
So them islands are called the Nietzsche Islands, my guy. And I guess GFS says they're covered up by the floods.
And maybe that goes back to Tartaria and the mud floods and all that.
Hold up. Whoa. Wait.
This is why it works best to have individuals telling their narrative from their perspective.
So what do you think about that Tartaria?
These two things sort of, it's
think?
A later event. I think that was something, but yeah.
Okay.
What I think is that the Tartarian, like, there's a lot of reference to, like, look at the wall in China and how the stairs are going from this side to that side. It wouldn't be that hard to conquer the wall and flip the stairs on the other side. That's all I'm going to say about things like that. Like, you don't know who conquered who and maybe altered the things in the past. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the winners write the history, so.
Always.
There's that.
No, I believe that. I don't say that.
So check this out. On that theory, right? I seen a video where the guy goes, this wall is so long, right? And it took so many years to build, right? And the way it's set up, it's not to keep people on the outside the way we view it. It's actually the other way around.
Keep people inside.
Yeah, to keep, you know what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, like, kick you prison. Oh, that makes me think of Attack on Titans when they kick people off the walls.
So remember that. Remember that movie with
Go live with the Nephilim giants. Oh my God, kick you off the wall. Get out of here. Go live with the giants.
What's this dude's name? He used to be with oh my God. Why can't I remember his name? He's from Massachusetts. He used to be with Ben Affleck. Remember they all came up together?
Yeah. I know who you're talking about. Ben Affleck.
Matt Damon. Remember Matt Damon when he made that movie where he was thinking China or whatever? Remember them animals that were climbing up the walls?
Yeah.
So what if it's something like that?
The name of that, by the way, the name of that movie is Great Wall.
Yeah, and it has to do with the
magnet. That's why you can't remember the name, because it makes no sense. What's the name of the movie? It's about the Great Wall. Well, what's the name of the movie? Great Wall.
Yeah. And the key was the magnet. Remember, that's the stone. It was a magnet.
Yeah. So what if it's something like that, but it's the other way around? That's the way the guy was saying it, almost like, because some of these, we're gonna get into some people say that we're almost like prisoners. Like this whole little
prison planet.
And yeah, but anyway, this digressing from what you guys are talking about because that's something totally.
Well,
you know
because
what I mean?
the mud flood Tartaria, I don't understand how they connect so much historical spread out things into one small period. Like the mud flood thing is, I think, older than they're telling us.
And that's possible. That is possible because in a lot of countries now, people the more they dig, the more further down into the earth they go, the more they're finding structures that day to day can't explain, day to day can't really recreate.
Like so maybe Tartaria was north of Sumeria and Atlantis was, there was like the leftovers of Atlantis from the floods and stuff, and like maybe that little section.
I'll drop you a quote.
Huh?
I'm going to do it the way I hear it in my head. And this is what Aristotle said about Atlantis, what Solon told him from the Egyptian scribes. Beyond the pillars of Hercules. So that would kind of be the first signpost. We'd have to figure out what, at the point in time that Solon was speaking, was considered the pillars of Hercules. Today, we believe that to be the pass in Gibraltar, right? The Strait of Gibraltar. But there were many other straits in the Greek in the Egyptian history, and not all of them were into the Atlantic. There's some arguments of the Crimean. There's some arguments of the Black Sea. There's some people who look into the Aegean, and all of these are perfectly acceptable interpretations of beyond the pillars of Hercules, right? So.
What if pillars was his accomplishments
at the same time?
I'm sorry. What if his pillars were the accomplishments of him?
I don't have an issue with that. It still doesn't give a signpost. I mean,
well, the signpost is beyond the regions he reached.
But Heracles supposedly went to India. Supposedly he traveled through the Balkans, and he also went down through North Africa.
So it's beyond that.
Okay, but there's a lot beyond that.
I know. Well, that's a starting point. You say the starting point.
Yeah, the first signpost given. So
yeah,
my question became, if people got on boats to get to Africa, is it possible that some of them didn't leave that lifestyle?
So maybe
like some of us hopped on and established the first few human settlements on the mainland. There were already human type creatures running around in the mainland. These creatures were not the cultured savants of the island and were integrally different. And this is why I think, this is just my hypothesis, you find two different trees of mankind at this point. You have the Cro-Magnon types that are a little bit more robust and have square eye sockets with apis-shaped attachments for their muscles. And then you have modern humans, which live exactly alongside them, but in a very different way. The Cro-Magnons walked around. They carried Acheulean lithic technology. They utilized, if any, clothing, the bare minimal of clothing, and their tool use extended to like maybe fire. We don't actually have proof of fire. We have locations with Cro-Magnon with this robust human bones that have fire pits, but the fire pits may have been added, recently later, if you catch what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, you can't trace the exact date where something was placed.
Right. So we don't know that they actually used fire, but we do know that humans came in and utilized the very same spaces they used almost 100% of the time. There are very few locations where it's strictly robust humans, and I think it was the intellectual difference between the mainland population and these new island population, culture, as I will call them, cultured humans coming to the mainland, that made that rift divide of humans not really accepting the other humanotypes that were available at the time, right? they didn't show up and be like, "Oh, brother, we look alike," and hug them because
because that's why we have short bone people and stuff, right?
Right. They were animalistic. They came to hunt us, and we just hunted them back, and we're better at it.
Well, there's those images of the mermaids hunting and stuff like that. You've seen that?
North Africa and the Sahara region, yeah.
And how they were friends, and then they started hunting each other.
In that same region, there is a series of canals that appear to have been utilized for farming, but predates the development of farming in the Middle East by almost like 900 years. The only issue is there is zero habitation associated with these canals. There's no homes. There's nowhere you can point and be like, people lived there, except there are canals that manage water.
It could have been wiped out or devastated, conquered. Who knows?
Sure, but even Troy had some standing stones left. I mean, how hard you go? I mean, we find 10,000-year-old mammoth bones still standing upright in the freaking permafrost. So,
well, maybe they weren't destroyed by humans. Maybe they're destroyed by something else.
Sure.
Could have been space aliens.
I mean, sure. I'll give you that. 10,000 years, 20,000 years, a long time, bro. It's a long time. So if that's the case, what do we look for something that would survive that long?
How about a better question, right? How about first we have to come to the realization that we got to be able to accept that their time goes back further than what is culturally accepted. And then maybe that other shit could come, because once you say, yo, this shit was around 40,000 years, they're gonna say, yo, well, what my guy likes to do, go put on your aluminum foil cap and then let's talk about this. Now it's like, okay, you trying to ridicule me now?
Yeah, you made me think of my argument my dad does with Christian Science. He's like, they found a mammoth bone and it turned into gel and it was only 6,000 years old. I'm like, it turned into gel 6,000 years ago.
No, that just happened yesterday. Yeah, that part happened yesterday.
You know how long bones take to turn into gel?
So when you have this race of cultured men, cultured people who come across to Africa, their island is no more. They've got this story of a great flood that wiped them out. And some people stay on land and some people stay on the boats. And they communicate occasionally because the boat people have to keep moving in order to find new resources and stuff that are easily attainable from the shore. The people on the mainland move into Africa, establish their own domain, and eventually populate the globe. Occasionally, these boat people show back up, and they show back up with a contiguous history. They have never been invaded. They have never been conquered. They have never been taken over because there is no one else on the oceans to conquer them. Think about it. A complete unbroken history for each boat people family, each little tribe that travel together, however they do it. There would be zero evidence, nothing. You would find nothing of these people because of the changes of sea level and the variations of the climate and the way the ice is approached, and all of that would completely erase this. Plus, anything that would be found would be 300 feet deep or deeper, right? So there would be no evidence. There's no way to find this. You don't expect to, and even if you did find it, no one would believe you.
Right.
Okay.
Or say you're a crazy person.
But there has to be a break in this history. There has to be a point at which the boat people fail because they're not here today, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There is one event in human history that is really weird, completely unexplained, and no one knows who these people were. And that is the late Bronze Age collapse of civilization in the Mediterranean, which also happened within like a 50, 60-year period in China and in India around the same time.
And you're talking about the one you mentioned earlier?
Peoples.
Yeah,
right.
And that's also in Egypt too.
Well, the Egyptians are the ones who actually named them the sea peoples.
Yeah, well, that's where I got my context.
Bible comes from Egyptian lore, yes. Yeah. The stela, to be specific. So what occurred at the end of the Bronze Age, at the end of the late Bronze Age, is the city-states of the Mediterranean established navies. Each city-state made their own navy, and each navy was answerable only to the city that fielded it.
Right.
This created the first ever military police on the ocean. And I think this was the end of the sea peoples, because if you were sailing in the Mediterranean at that time and you weren't attached to one of the city-states, then you were an interloper, and you might have been just captured, taken as slaves.
Or killed, whatever.
Or killed. And I believe it was this type of activity that triggered a unification in the sea peoples, and they entered the Mediterranean from the Atlantic, North Africa, Western Europe, possibly even as far away as Britain. The news gets out, they gather up, they come to the Mediterranean to try to deal with whatever the problem might be over here, because they've never seen a city-state before. They've never seen a navy. Hell, they might never have had an actual war. Although I disbelieve that part. I believe war was firmly a part of what they did because of what happened next.
Well, as above, so below, when they weren't having
starting in the Western Mediterranean, every single coastal city is eradicated, and they build hill forts to defend against something. And that happens all the way across the Mediterranean to Egypt, which coincidentally, and it saved the Egyptian culture. Egypt was at war with someone on the Sinai Peninsula, and most of their army was not actually in Egypt at the time. So when the sea peoples rolled through, they rolled through, burn a bunch of stuff, take a bunch of stuff, kill a bunch of people, and leave. That is not the action of a conqueror. Right?
It's the action of a pillager.
They're just pillaging. Yeah, they're here to tear stuff up. They are not here to take the ground. These people had zero interest in colonizing this place. They just wanted to bloody the nose of the people who had done whatever it was that happened. Maybe after this point,
maybe Africa or Australia. Maybe this is an Australian sea people, and that's why there was like nobody there.
You are assuming land.
You said they came from somewhere. Remember did Plato? Plato assumed that too. So
they assumed that is an assumption, sir. We have the sea gypsies of Sri Lanka to this day live on boats, and they send representatives on the land to buy products.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The reason these people live here is the reason people live there. These people, the sea gypsies specifically, the reason they live there is because every other country has made sailing an unmarked ship verboten in their waters. But since they were in Sri Lanka when the rules went up, they're able to sail the Sri Lankan waters as recognized ships. If they leave those waters, the Americans won't recognize it as an active vessel, and may very well just plow it under with an aircraft carrier or something. You know, it doesn't have all of the newfangled stuff that boats are supposed to have on them to sail in international waters, and so there's not necessarily identifier, right? None of that stuff, right? So think about it this way: prehistoric Amish people who just don't take to new stuff unless it's proven, right? So this unbroken culture is capable of developing the hard sciences such as mathematics, navigation, art, some of the soft sciences too, a certain level of sociology, and apparently they had a knack for languages, because wherever it was these myths and legends came from, it came through the language that was carried into the future by the different cultures they contacted.
Okay.
Another interesting point about the fall of the late Bronze Age, there were no replacement colonies that showed up.
Do you think Egypt was a desert back then?
Moved in.
Do you think Egypt was a desert back then?
Well, the Nile Valley certainly was not.
Okay. So if it wasn't a desert back then and it changed, why not other lands like Australia too? Like what? Maybe it was a massive fertile land.
Well, you see, that's the thing, is if it was Australia, there would be evidence of occupation in Australia that matches this scenario. Yeah, but you have to assume that it's there and then assume that it's gone. And there's two assumptions for the price of one, and I'm not going to give that one up.
That's fair.
You see what I'm saying? It would be more likely that either they were never there, or that if they were there below the sea level currently at a point in time when the sea level was lower.
So when did the flood happen? Before or after all this?
Or it would be before the Bronze Age. See, that's the thing, is I don't think the flood is a reference to the Gilgamesh tale, right?
Okay.
I think the Gilgamesh tale is a reference to these people leaving that original island.
But that Gilgamesh is Sumerian, is it not?
Well, you would have a group of people that they could have washed up as far away as like southern India and freaking. I mean, you've got the Manu of India. They just show up one day on a freaking boat and bring all of culture with them.
Yeah.
Right?
So
your coach in South America shows up on a Tuesday with all of culture in his pocket.
Right. I agree. I'm just saying you're making the connection that Sumeria kind of like went everywhere.
Well, they're the ones that made the connection. They're the one that tell the stories.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. But yeah, that's essentially.
I'm simply trying to connect those stories to the other stories that are either identical or very, very similar across the world. Have you ever heard the story of one twin, two twins? Okay, in South America, and we don't have a whole lot of like creation myths from South America, but in South America there is one that we do get, and I think it's from the Popol Vuh, is where I think it's written. Anyway, in the beginning there were several gods. There was the sun, the sky, the moon, land. One god broke himself, became all the plants. Another god broke himself, became all the animals. And one god felt that to do so would belittle himself and broke himself into male and female. But this is where things get weird. There's no reference to which twin was male and which twin was female, and they're both referred to in the neutral sense, right? It's not he, it's they, because they do everything together. Except
just like me and my lady.
Except when the discovery between good and evil was discovered, they didn't do things together. And that rift is what creates the difference between light and dark, warm and cold, a good and bad, pleasurable and pain. This is the distinction, is one twin and two twin not working together. So it's not until later when one twin and two twin come together again and decide, hey, you know, it's really lonely around here. All we've got is a bunch of freaking animals to play with. Why don't we do something else? And they work together to create man from clay. Okay. They also created corn, maize, a couple other beans, potatoes, and a few other things that they gave to man along with fire. Two twin, the dark negative twin, gave man fire and warfare. Now I'm butchering this story because I'm leaving so much.
No, it makes a lot of sense because you essentially just described God of alchemy. That's all you did.
I think you're muted. I want to make an announcement to you guys. So I'm about to end this live in a couple of minutes. I want to eat, but I actually have another live scheduled for less than half an hour. But that's open topic, open panel. We could talk about anything on that.
We got a current event show coming up at 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 hours. 2 hours. I got the Blast Radius with Captain Curmudgeon. By the way, I don't know if you've encountered Black George Washington yet. You might want to tune in to the very beginning of this because he's supposedly doing his Black George Washington imitation to read the news roundup tonight. I don't know what's gotten into him, but I'm going to be laughing my ass off because it's hilarious every time he does it.
Drop a link to that so I can subscribe to that channel, man. If you can't drop it in the chat, drop it in the private chat. I'll definitely go over and subscribe to that channel. Oh, yeah. Because I know me and him got a live. He wants me to pull up on his channel 9:30 my time. And we're doing something. I'm doing something with Mark. I don't know if that something is going to be on YouTube. I'm not sure. I know that we're three other platforms. Excuse me?
3 platforms. Twitch, YouTube, and Rumble.
Twitch, Rumble, and what's the other one?
YouTube.
Yeah, I wasn't sure he said YouTube. Yeah.
All right. This is the channel. Get that in there. And this is the actual live stream link. and this is on his channel because it's his show. It'll also be on my channel if, you know, for whatever reason you don't want to go over there. I don't know. But keep in mind, this is his show. He makes the call. I bring stories to him. He thumbs up, some thumbs downs, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, and then we do the show. He's the, what do you call it? Collator, I suppose. He's also the lead anchor. And I've got another one, Jay Rillo. You know Jay Rillo? You met him?
Yeah, he be in my chat. Yeah.
He's the co-host of that show, but he hasn't been around for a couple of weeks. Yeah, he's got a busy Sundays, and it's not a good time for him. So he comes and goes.
So
by the way, Jay Rillo is a previous guest on Sasquatch Shields too.
For real?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he usually be in almost all of my lives. Almost all of my life. He always checks in one way or another in the chat section. He normally does. So there's the link to the channel. Hold on, let me show it on the screen.
Oh, and you know what my theory is with the sea people in Egypt thing?
Can you see that? Look, I want you to see me hit that subscribe button. Boom.
Oh yeah. Appreciate
it. Yeah, you're scheduled for 8 o'clock. Yep, and it's 6 p.m. my time.
Yep.
You're East Coast too. Okay, let's watch.
Yes, sir. I'm in Georgia.
But my theory about that Egypt and the sea and what you were talking about, I have a theory that there was 3 stages of Atlantis' fall. Like there was a prime, huge phase that was like abundant and part of the world trade, and then they messed up and did something horrible, and then people are like, they're bad, and then the second stage, you know, they did it again, and the third stage was like they slowly just got slower and slower and weaker and weaker. And so that was probably the final third stage of Atlantis, and they got taken out.
But as I understand it, every myth from that time period states that Atlantis fell in a single day and night.
Okay, the final day. Okay, so doesn't mean it rose in one day and fell in one day.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, not at all, for sure. It also doesn't specify how long ago. Now, Solon says 7,000 years before the present time, which would have been around 11,500 years ago from the time of Plato, right? But then again, Plato once got clowned by Diogenes when he asked Plato Aristotle clowned Plato, saying that Plato made it up. And Diogenes, hearing that, came in one afternoon and asked Aristotle, what is a man? And he said, a hairless biped. And he plucked a chicken and threw it into the Senate. There is your man.
You're chickens. You're a bunch of chickens.
Chickens.
Now, and another thing about when you say a day, you know that Plato and the references, when they would also say there would be a day when something like this happened, and it'd be like 10 years.
Referring to era. Yeah, era of time.
I'm just thinking about they referring to the actual day that it happened. Not how many days it took to happen, maybe.
Yeah. Or it was an era of when it happened.
So let's dive into. Oh, wait, you're fixing to end this. I'll let you end it. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I definitely want everybody to subscribe to both of these brothers' channels, Caucasian Sasquatch and Thoth Mark, because these guys got a lot of different type of content. And Sasquatch, my guy, has a lot going on. Don't troll him. He's like the master of trolling. My guy.
Go ahead, troll me. I'd like to learn something.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the guys got a whole bunch of great content. You see how the guys pull up, they provide great context to everything they say. Matter of fact, do you guys want to chime in on anything before we close this out? Because I am starving.
I'm starving too. Subscribe, like, and share, and all those amazing things you do. Peace.
Do you want to say Sasquatch?
Deuces.
No way.